The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast without the breaks and commercials. Now, here's host Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here today with, two people that have responsibility for two wonderful organizations that do so much for the community. I have Joanne Ryan from the Rochester Ronald McDonald House, better known as the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Rochester. That's the proper way to address that, right?
That is correct.
And Tracey Driesbach, the executive director of the Rochester Rotary Club, right?
That's exactly right.
And your claim to fame in this conversation today is in that the Rochester Rotary Club has the Rochester Rotary Charitable Trust that does what?
We own and operate the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp.
And if anybody knows anything about these two organizations, they're fantastic organizations. I have both of them in my studio, both at the same time. We have some stuff coming up that they're going to do in concert with one another, and there's some things that they do independently. But if you don't know as much about these organizations as maybe you think you should, let's give everybody a little bit of a. I had a boss who used to call it eyewash. I don't know why he calls it eyewash. Give me some eyewash. And I have no idea. It's 40 years ago, and I still think of this and I've lost touch with them, so I don't know. But give us a little bit of an idea of what your organization does, and let's go from there. So Joanne, J becomes before T, so we'll go we'll go with you first.
Thank you, Dom. So Ronald McDonald House Charities of Rochester is one of 387 chapters in 65 countries. So we're a global mission. There are 176 in the U.S. There are 5 in New York State, and we're so fortunate to have one right here in Rochester. And our primary focus is supporting families through very challenging times. Families come to us from all parts of the country and the world, and they come for outstanding state-of-the-art pediatric care. But while they're with us, our job is to put our arms around them and make sure that their needs are met so they can be their very best support for their child that is in care.
Well, one of the things about your organization I think people need to be aware of is you provide services for families, for children that are being taken care in the hospital, and tell me the circumstances that would require.
So any child that is hospitalized for an injury or an illness, 21 and younger, their families can be supported by our programs and services. So a child that might have a diagnosis that's an oncology diagnosis, but an eating disorder, or a child that may have been in a motor vehicle accident. So it's anyone who is in the hospital can actually qualify for services. Referrals come to us through either their social work team or their primary physician, and that's all we need. And then our doors are open, and we're there to provide lodging, transportation, and food for their stay.
Well, this compels a question, though. Does a referral have to come from somebody else, or can the family refer themselves? Could they call you if they're in this situation?
Typically, if they call us, they are working with a physician or a social work team, and that is how the referral is formally made. But families do reach out directly as well. But they do have to work through their service team, their hospital service team.
And the cost to the families is
nothing.
Nothing.
Right? Yes, we cover all costs and expenses. We are 90% philanthropically supported, and that's thanks to the generosity of the community and our McDonald's forever and founding partners and local corporations.
Well, I think one of the misconceptions is that McDonald's Corporation is paying for everything with this, and they're not, right?
That is correct. They are not. They are for sure sponsors for us for our events, but they are not our full funding source. Our funding really comes typically from the community, and they are either grateful families or families that just really understand and appreciate how important it is to keep families together during critical times.
I know you. The last time you were on the show, you had a story about somebody from overseas.
Yes. We had a child that was here, a 19-year-old that was here on a work-study program, and while they were here, they fell from a zip line. And they had very serious injuries. They were actually hospitalized for 8 weeks while they were here. The first 3 of those weeks, they were in an induced coma, so that was the best way to render care. Family flew over from England. They were with us for the entire time that their son was in care. And during that time, the challenge for the mom was she was just distraught over the fact that he might not know that that she was there. And so my team astutely asked her how they could help her. And one of the suggestions that was made is, what would she do for him if they were home? And she said she'd cook for him. So we provided for her an opportunity through our kitchen, brought her to an Indian market. She purchased all of the spices that she needed, came back and began cooking for him, meals that we would actually freeze. So it took a bit for him to be well enough to eat them. But when he was able to take nourishment by mouth, he was eating his mom's home cooking. So it's just a fabulous story. It showed the benefit of having a house in a home-like setting, which is what it becomes. It is the home away from home for these families.
Well, and the thing that is different than the Rotary Sunshine Camp is that this is something that anybody could, without anticipation, need. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you have provided a lifeline to families that are in trouble, that could be in trouble at any time. It could be any one of us with any child, and you don't ask questions. You just do it. Absolutely.
We meet families where they are, and you're absolutely right, Dom. At the middle of the night, you get that awful phone call. Your child has been in an MVA, and now they're being mercy flighted to one of our hospitals. And now what do? You go to be at the bedside, but who's taking care of you while they are getting excellent care? That's our job, is to make sure that we put our arms around the family. And we do this at a moment's notice.
Repeat again your story about the sweatshirt. The one that the child had a favorite sweatshirt, and she was.
One of the things that we offer through our family rooms, as well as the Westmoreland House, is laundry. And it seems silly when you think about a child in crisis, but we had a teenage child who had a favorite sweatshirt, and that sweatshirt became sort of this home base. And as with many teenagers, they live in their clothes, and the sweatshirt needed to be laundered. And she wouldn't part with it, except for the fact that she knew that it would only be 20 minutes to take it downstairs and wash it, 20 minutes more to dry it, and she'd have it back. And that was able to happen as a result of having laundry on site at our family rooms.
Well, that can make all the difference in the world with somebody. So we have about a minute left here in this segment. And so let's talk about 8, 10, and 2.5.
So you were the brilliant author of our 8, 10, and 2.5.
No.
Dom and Nita graciously were our chairs for our recent gala.
Honorary chairs. We didn't do very much.
Well, you certainly brought awareness to the community. And the 8, 10, and 2.5 was actually that we serve on average 800 families. We provide over 10,000 covered nights, and we save families roughly $2.5 million annually by providing basic needs so that they can take all of their energy and focus on the well-being of their child.
Well, if you're listening to the show, I want you to remember that at 8, 10, and 2.5, I mean, that is an extraordinary number of families that you're serving. 800, 10,000 nights, transportation, lodging, and then saving them $2.5 million. This is all from donations, some from the Ronald McDonald's Corporation or the McDonald's Corporation, but a great deal of it from people right here in Rochester.
Absolutely. It's really a community lift. We are a conduit to care, and we couldn't do it without the support of our ambassadors, and we're very blessed to have many.
Okay, so we're about ready to head into a break, and then Tracey, you're going to have a test at the end of that, and we're going to ask you to explain 10, 8, and 2.5.
All right.
So we'll see you right after this.
It's a magical place for kids of all abilities.
At no charge, the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp has been serving children of all abilities for the last 100 years. Help us grow into the next 100 years. Go to sunshinecamp.org to learn more about how you can help.
Where kids have no barriers to fun. The Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp.
Well, welcome back. We were talking at the last segment about 8, 10, and 2.5. And Tracey, what does it stand for?
800 families, 10,000 meals and transportation, and saves the families $2.5 million.
There you go. There you go. So that's a little thing I came up with for the Ronald McDonald House Charities, and everybody listening just heard the commercial logo jingle that we did for you guys.
Yeah, it's very catchy. I'm sure you were all tapping your toes when you heard that. It's a great jingle.
Well, you have a great spokesperson in Don Alhart, and let's before we talk about the organizational talk, let's talk about that relationship. That is a very, very close relationship, and that has to have meant a lot to you guys.
Absolutely, Don has been a member since the 70s of Rochester Rotary, and has embraced the mission of Rotary, service above self. And I can't think of another person in this community that is that person that says, I give everything for this community. And
Well,
Don does.
Well, at one point in time, I mean, Walter Cronkite was the most trusted person in the United States, and Don has that quality about him. I mean, it's Don Alhart. You know, Don Alhart is all that. So let's talk about the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp. Now, this has been around for like 100 years, right?
Yeah, we celebrated our 101st summer this past summer.
Yeah, yes. Let's explain how this thing got started way back when.
Sure. So Sunshine Camp started in 1922. We started down at Camp Eastman in Irondequoit, and it was designed to serve the needs of children who have special needs. They were, the Rochester Rotary Club was finding that there were children in the community that weren't being able to have their needs met, and they came up with the concept of creating this camp. And 101 years later, we're serving 2,500 children and adults with special needs, free of charge to their families every summer. And it's a fabulous opportunity for their families. We focus on really the child and their abilities, and it provides a respite for the mom and dad caretaker to be able to recharge their batteries. Yeah,
and the thing I got from one of the things I got from your last interview with us is that it provides a service for children with special needs, but also gives the families a respite.
Yes.
That they wouldn't normally have had.
Absolutely. And many of our families will comment on that. They know that their child's placed in a safe environment where they're having the time of their life, and with specially trained counselors. We have one counselor for every almost 1.5 campers. And so many of our families will take a vacation during that time frame. They'll spend time with their children who maybe don't have a diagnosis, and be able to spend that time with them and focusing their energy on them. Because as we know, many of the families with who have a child with have special needs require a lot more attention than maybe the other kids in the household. And so it gives them the opportunity to do those special treats and activities with their other family members, or just recharge their batteries. I have one mom who says, I don't ever get to read a book. The only time I get to read a book is when my child is at camp, and I can sit down and I can read a book and sit in my lawn chair in the yard and relax.
Well, I remember Don talking on the show a while back about a child who went home, and the father said, well, I'll give you your shot, your insulin shot. And she said, no, Dad, I know how to do that now because I was at the Sunshine Camp. Yeah, it really is. It's growth. It's encouraging, learning about themselves, and also seeing that they're not unique in this world, that there are children of all differing abilities. But like I said, we focus on the abilities and what people can do and what strengths you bring to the table. And they learn from counselors that have been former campers that can then show, how do you give yourself an insulin shot? That they work with, doctors that come in and teach. But we also have many of our campers that, maybe use a mobility device and are involved in sports now, and encourage the kids to get involved in activities in the community and teach them about what's out there for them, and be able to make those connectivity and connections with the community and with the counselors that are there. It's really a very special relationship. Well, what really bowled me over, what Don said to me once, well, you really need to go get a tour of the Sunshine Camp, and it was a revelation for Nita and I. It's 160 acres. Now, what road is that on? It's here in Rush.
5 Points Road.
5 Points Road. Mm-hmm. So if you're driving by it, you can see nothing. It's like Area 51 or something. I mean, there's not a big fence like that, and there's no aliens there, hopefully. But you have 160 acres, and you have no idea at all what you have there. Some of the things are quite extraordinary. Rather than me explain to him, why don't you explain some of the really kind of cool things you have? Yeah, we have a tree house out in the woods that was featured on the DIY network. So we were actually a national episode of that. Again, everything's designed to be fully accessible. Yes. So, and meet the needs. So we have a climbing tower that has a 400-foot zip line that comes off of it. We have a train. We have archery and boating and fishing and a pool, and we have animals, and we have mini golf course that's completely accessible. We have elements that come up out of the ground that can be an obstacle for someone who might use a mobility device. So when they putt, there's an obstacle in the way, and when they
want to go through the hole, they push a lever and the elements go back into the ground so the child can wheel through.
So a child can play mini golf even if they're in a wheelchair.
Absolutely.
It's just like, who thinks of these things? That's so cool, right?
It
and
is.
And then you have I know you have the room that's like the quiet room or light or whatever.
Yeah,
how do you explain that?
We have a sensory building. So we have many children that come to us with a diagnosis of autism, and camp is a very loud environment. And there's a lot of excitement and joy, but it also can be overstimulating. So the sensory building provides an opportunity and a space for these children to go self-treat in an area, whether there's ball crawls or swings or tactile marble walls or there's weighted blankets. It's an opportunity for them to ground themselves and feel comfortable and then re-engage into the camp activities.
Well, and this place is open all year long for different reasons, though, right? I mean, you don't have campers this time of year, but you do other things, right?
We do. We are a resource for the community in the off season. So when our summer camping months are over, really mid-May through Labor Day, we become a resource for the community. So any church, school, nonprofit can use us as a retreat center. And many do because they do know that it's completely accessible. So many organizations come out and use us, and probably about another 4,500 people will come through in the off season.
Well, quick question. Can a profit use it? They want to have a Christmas party or something like that? Or is it exclusively because it has to be a 501c3?
Technically, it's supposed to be a 501c3.
Okay. And what is the quote-unquote season? I mean, from, May to September? Or?
Yep. So our main summer camping will start mid-May, and it'll run right to Labor Day.
And I would imagine it's really hard to keep up with technology and renovations and things you have to do now that you wouldn't have to do years ago. I mean, obviously, 100 years ago, you didn't have sensory buildings and all this other stuff. So, I mean, what has been the biggest challenge for you, like financially?
I think the biggest challenge financially is just continuing to make sure that we can keep the service free for the children. Because for our families who have, and Joanne can speak to this, for our families who have a child with a special need or a medical condition, it's expensive. And this provides them the opportunity to have this respite, a week for themselves where they can just be a kid and there's no barriers to fun. Well,
and the question that I just asked Joanne, so how do people find you? Is it word of mouth, or you're referred from doctors or whatever? I mean, how does that work?
It's a wide variety. Most of it's word of mouth, or they've experienced it in sometimes it's physicians that are referring as well, saying, we know that there's this wonderful facility and you should go do this. Most of it's from families, sharing with other families. What the campus are.
Okay, so we're ready to head into another break. And on the other side, we're going to be talking about, something that we're doing together.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Well, it certainly, hopefully, is exciting. Okay, right after the news break. See you then. Well, welcome back. You're listening to No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here with Joanne Ryan from the Ronald McDonald Charities of Rochester. I always have a problem getting that out of my mouth. Ronald McDonald's Charities of Rochester. And Tracey Driesbach, who is the executive director of the Rochester Rotary Club, who is also responsible for the Rochester Rotary Charitable Trust, better known as the Rotary Sunshine Camp. So the two of you are here together, and we are doing something together for the two organizations, and it's coming up on Monday, December 4th, and Monday, December 11th. Two shows that we're having at this wonderful venue in Lyman, New York, of all places, a beautiful little theater, pub organization that they have there that normally on the weekdays they have a blues venue, but now we're going to have a variety venue, and it's going to be, well, my Christmas show will be there, and we're going to be doing a lot of good things for the benefit of your two organizations, and we're going to have the premiere of the Middle Finger Lake Players. So Middle Finger Lake, it's like Lake Wobegon from years ago, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Middle Finger Lake where life is perfect, but could always be better. Sorry, you guys in Webster, you know where I'm going with that thing, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. We're going to have a like a variety show, and the tickets are $25, and it's sort of like having two kids, having the two of your organizations. I mean, it's like I love you both. I can't pick one of you. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this together. And you've come to the conclusion that you're going to share whatever the take is, and
yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and here's the deal. So the tickets are $25 a piece, and the entire gate is going to go to the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp or the Ronald McDonald's House Charities of Rochester. And I know this is like, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So the deal is that the entire gate, the entire ticket price is going to go to those two organizations. The Canandaigua National Bank and Trust has donated a nice chunk of change that's going to go to you too. And all people have to do is come in and listen to the nonsense that we're going to be doing. There's going to be one day that we do nonsense, and we have a lot of things going on, a lot of surprises. We have some celebrity guests, which I can't tell you about right now. We've got music, we have fun, and let's see what else. I'll let you guys comment a little bit.
I think it's just going to be a great night. Just an opportunity to just sit back, enjoy, being part of a live broadcast, right? You're part of a radio show. You're watching some fun stuff happen. There'll be some entertainment. There'll also be a way for you to make a difference too, for both evenings. We'll have some raffles. We'll have some baskets you can do.
Some stories.
Yeah.
I'm trying to line up some really interesting things.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity too. Tracy's a dear friend and colleague as well. So Dom, thank you for bringing us together in this opportunity. And we are serving a very similar population. It's kids in crisis and their families. And you just probably couldn't have found a better match from the regard.
Agreed.
We are tremendous benefactors of the Sunshine Camp. We use the camp for our family reunions. So we know firsthand how important the camp is to the community, and our families love it. For the reason mentioned earlier, that family can come as a unit and enjoy.
Yeah, that's one of the things you were saying before the show that we really should touch on, is that sometimes their services really help your services.
They do. And the Rotary Sunshine Camp touches so many not-for-profits in Rochester. And children have a safe place to go and be kids. And that's really what it's all about. And for us, when our families are with us, it's probably the height of the crisis. But after they're discharged and they go home to a normal situation or a new normal, depending on the outcome of their child's situation, it's nice to know that they as a family unit can enjoy some place where children of all levels of mobility and ability can really enjoy.
So let's get back a little bit more retail on this. It's $25. You can go to nononsenseroundtable.com. It's right on the front page there. You can pick what night you want to go. They're probably going to be a little bit different performances because I really don't know what I'm doing here. And if I was to pick, I'd probably say the one on the 11th probably is going to be better than the one on the 4th because we're going to be making some mistakes. I'll probably be embarrassing myself. But you know what? To pay $25 for a good cause to see me embarrass myself, go right ahead. My ego is not so big, but we got some really neat things going on. One thing is that Joe Bricado, who's a musician here, has this song. It's Christmas in New York. Beautiful, beautiful song. So we have a fully produced version of that. We're going to put that on the screen. And then Don Alhart gave me his rendition, and with the book, and him reading it, and the beautiful background that Joe LaMonaco did on that, on Sibley the Mouse. So Don's not going to be able to make it, but Don will be there in spirit with this Sibley book. And then we have a couple of different things. My big thing is that I've been here since 1994. So I haven't gotten my membership card yet. So there's BIC and there's AIC. And there's before ice storm and there's after ice storm, so anybody who got here like after the ice storm, you don't get it, so me being an old guy, I'm going to get some other old guys, we're going to tell and have them tell stories about, back when, and Xerox and Kodak and the Bob and, all these things, McCurdy's and the Sibleys, stuff that I have no idea about. And we have a couple of guys that are very good storytellers. We'll have some storytellers, and we have a fella is going to play little country guitar and banjo and stuff. It's really, really good stuff. And of course, we have Santa and Mrs. Santa. And anybody that was at our show last year understands that Mrs. Santa is a little cranky. Like she's got to do she's got to clean up after all this, and he's it's like any husband, he's oblivious and so forth, and so there'll be some surprises. We're working on that, and if and you can come. It's $25, and if you don't like it, you don't get your money back. I mean, so just know that up front that you're committing to stay there. You can walk out early if you like. That's fine, but we'll be there, and there'll be, like I said, there'll be some surprises that you would never ever have conceived of, and of course, again, I'm going to tell you, you can get the tickets at NoNonsenseRoundtable.com. But you know what? The place isn't that big, so I would probably end up getting there as soon as possible, like right now. Well, not right now. Wait till the show ends, and then you can do that. So, Joanne, we have a minute or two left in this segment, but one of the things we were talking about was the facility that Tracey has with 160 acres. You don't have 160 acres, but your facility is pretty darn good, too. Let's talk about that.
Well, thank you. We don't have 168 acres, but we do have 24 private rooms and private ensuite baths at our Westmoreland house, and then 7 more rooms, 7 private baths right in Strong Memorial Hospital on the 5th floor. And we have 2 sleep rooms at Unity Hospital, and we have family rooms throughout the community as well. But that's how we deliver our services, is by providing a home away from home for families who either can come and stay with us, no limit to how long they stay, no limit to how many times they come back. And the best part about it is we're minutes from care, which is the goal.
Well, and the other thing is that you have a bottomless number of rooms. I mean, if you run out of rooms, you were telling me, you'll get people rooms at a hotel or something.
Absolutely. Right? We have turned no families away, even through COVID. So if we are full, and we do hit 100% occupancy on occasion, we will cover the costs of a hotel until we can move them back into the house. The better part about the house is the kitchen is theirs, the house is theirs from the breakout rooms for the family rooms. It's more space if you're coming with your siblings while you have a child in care. So families are eager usually to leave the hotel and come to the house.
I knew so little about your organization before I interviewed you on the radio, and I'm sorry I didn't know about you years ago, because I would have been a raging fan. Well, both of you, and with you, Tracey, Don says, go take a look at this place and see why I'm so enthused about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back from this break. Well, welcome back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable with Joanne Ryan from the Ronald McDonald's House Charities of Rochester. And I say this because I flub up so many lines. And Tracey Driesbach, which I introduced you at last year's Christmas show as the president, but you are the executive director of the Rochester Rotary Club, and yes. Which means you are in charge of the Rochester Rotary Charitable Trust, which is the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp. Boy, it takes you a long time to get through that.
It is.
Last segment, we were talking about the show we're having at Fanatics Restaurant in Lima, December 4th, December 11th. Now, the show starts at 7 o'clock, but you can get there at 6 o'clock, and you get a really nice pub menu there. My favorite is the beef on wick. No discounts on that. You have to pay full price. You have the good
Kennewick rolls? I want to know.
Yeah, they have the really good Kennewick rolls, yes. And they have little roasted potatoes, garlic potatoes. They sell roasted, but I think they might be fried. I don't know. But they're delicious. Oh, my God. And sounds the drink, good. Like these huge drinks and whatever. But it's a great venue. Plenty of parking. Lima is not that far away, and you'll enjoy yourself. But you can get tickets at NoNonsenseRoundtable.com. $25. All the $25 goes to either one of these organizations. They decided not to fight it out; they're going to just share it together.
No, we like to work together.
Yeah, there you go. And it's a good and very rare these days. Very rare these days. But we'll have a lot of fun, and we'll record the show. Whatever is safe to use on the radio, we'll use. But in the meantime, we'll have a lot of fun and some prizes and some surprises, and everybody come. What is the most? This is kind of maybe a silly question, but what is the most rewarding thing that you think your clients see from what you do for them? I mean, is it just that unexpected thing that they see with you or Joanne or like they really didn't know before they took advantage of it?
We had one family share that he felt like when he walked through the door, he had entered a vortex and everything was just sucked away so he could focus exclusively on his child. And that was probably the highest compliment, that we created a space where the day-to-day distractions, the barriers were all cleared. And what little energy you have as a family member in the middle of a crisis, you can apply that to the well-being of your child. That's how I knew we were hitting the mark with our mission.
Well, I would imagine there are a lot of people that just aren't aware. Like I say, I was unaware that you have a child in the hospital and somebody comes over and taps them on the shoulder and says, "Listen, we have somebody that can help you." But they weren't aware of this pretty much before, right? I mean, does that happen a lot?
It does. A lot of families, they don't know about us. And another family said it's a club that no one wants to belong to, but when you need it, you're so glad it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And the other thing that impresses me about it is that, that sweatshirt thing. I mean, I know it's a little thing, but like, what is your real business? Your real business is to take a pressure and consternation away from somebody's life, no matter what it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be one thing or another. Sometimes it's the little things that make life comfortable and familiar, and that something can mean an awful lot.
Absolutely, especially when you have limited energy.
Right.
When you're trying to survive something, little things become enormous.
Right.
So to have someone worry about them,
Yeah.
someone take care of, it's not uncommon to have my team ask families, "Have you eaten today?"
Yeah, yeah.
And having a family who didn't have a chance to do their own laundry and having staff be aware and do it for them. So they come back and all their clothes are folded on the end of their bed.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, so like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's that last thing that, just, geez, why do I, I mean, I haven't eaten and I don't want to go eat because I don't want to take the time. Right. Somebody feeds you, So, Tracey, the same question with you. I mean, I would tend to think that your families become dependent on this from year to year to year, right?
They do.
Yeah.
They do, and it becomes a family. I think the campers, especially with the social media that is out there and the technology now, our campers build relationships. And many times our children are the only child in their school district that might have a visible disability or use a mobility device. And they often feel like they're, singled out a little bit because they're different. But when they come to Sunshine Camp and they walk, they're around kids of all differing abilities, and the ability for them to make these bonds and connections. Well, now they Snapchat with each other, now they're, TikToking and doing everything else. They're keeping those connections, and they can't wait to come back to the next year. Every week we provide a video. We have a video person on staff and we record a video, and every camper gets the link and they watch that video over and over again. Years prior, it used to be VHS tapes, and they, at that time, and they would break, and parents would call us that they've watched it so many times. And then there was DVDs. Well, thankfully now it's just a link. But that also allows the child who's nonverbal their parents to understand what happens at camp. They get to see every child enjoying every activity that's there. And it's a wonderfully produced 20-minute video that every camper has. Every week it's done. And so we have that ability to share and tell the story through watching the kids enjoy and see what's happening.
How many volunteers do you have?
Well, we have three.
Lots. Lots.
Yes. Well, so our counselors are paid counselors in the summertime. So we have 100 counselors that work for us in the summertime. But throughout the year, we have 350 Rochester Rotarians, and Joanne is one of them. Yes. So, here right there, Rotary Connections. But we have 350 members of our club that are out there in the community. But then there's people like you, Dom, who are out there in the community that believe in our mission and want to help. And they help in so many different ways, whether it's with our fundraising events, or it's helping us develop a jingle, or it's just, being there as a resource, helping us make connections in the community to build and do renovations.
Now, Joanne, obviously your facility is open 24/7. So how many people are actually running the facility?
I have 30 paid staff.
Wow.
Yep. 12 are full-time and the rest are part-time or per diem. And then we have about 150 to 200 volunteers as well that help us throughout the year.
So real quick, other things you have coming up before the end of the year? We have a minute or two.
So we've got a Breakfast with Santa happening on December 9th, which is going to be great. You can find out about that on sunshinecamp.org. And we'll be able to just invite the community in. It's open to everybody in the community. It's going to be we're doing 2 seatings, 9:30 and 11:30.
And we have our end of year seasons of giving. So you can jump online and either sign up to make a meal, or consider us when you're considering your end of year charitable donations.
And if you don't want to pick one,
that's right,
and you want to give money to both, you can come to the No Nonsense Roundtable charity Christmas show at Fanatics Pub in Lima on December 4th and December 11th. Like I say, you get some pub food before that, but the show starts at 7. All the money goes to these two wonderful organizations. Thank you to Canandaigua National Bank and Trust for doing this for us, sponsoring a good portion of the show, and all the volunteers that we have, and we're going to have some. I can't tell you who's going to come, because they're going to be people you don't expect. They're going to pop out from behind a post or something like that. I don't want to give it all away.
It's the element of surprise.
We're going to have fun, and a place you can get adult beverages and and just have a good time. And the other thing is plenty of parking. So again, thank you for coming in. Looking forward to seeing you on the 4th and 11th, and God bless you for what you do. I got to tell you, you guys are you guys are all that, and I really do appreciate there are people like you in the world. So,
well, thank you. We appreciate it.
God bless you. And again, next week, 10 o'clock, right here on News Radio WHAM 1180, it's the No Nonsense Roundtable.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every weekend from 10 to 11 on News Radio WHAM 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.